It's another glorious day in the NBA where they're quite literally, on our friends at Unabated, 15 different sets of conditional projections because of how many questionable players there are that matter on today's slate. But you know what? We're going to do what we always do here. We're going to strap in and compare my projections to some of the industry leaders out there, like Stokastic, like the aforementioned Unabated. We're also going to see what the best bets are, courtesy of our friends at Unabated. We're going to check out some DFS Sensei as well. And by the end of this video, in the must plays along with my splash plays for today's February 28th NBA slate. Let's get into it. Again, a lot of Q tags here. Actually, let's go to the Q tag, the ceremonial Q tag tweet, which is enormous today from our friends at Underdog. And Joel Embiid also out for the year, broke before the show. But we got Luka Doncic, Karl Anthony Towns, Jaylen Brown, Scotty Barnes. I wrote it for the DraftKings network today. The ifs, ands, and buts if Scotty Barnes not playing today. Long and short of it would be pretty big boost for Grady Dick. No surprise, your Dick goes up when Barnes goes out. But also look a little bit better for Barrett, a little bit better for Quickly. You guys know the deal by now. Bam Adebayo, Kristaps Porzingis, Chet Holmgren, Norman Powell, Desmond Bain, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, Colin Sexton, John Collins, Jordan Clarkson, Andrew Wiggins, Aaron Gordon, Denny Avdia, Jeremy Grant, Dante DiVincenzo, though I think he's probably going to play. A lot of Q tags. TBD no longer. Bradley Beal out. Doubtful for Grayson Allen. So Tyus Jones chalk, a late breaking play yesterday, along with Moses Brown, who I tip people off in the VIP Discord as well. Make sure you join down below for $4.99 if you want access there. You're going to have a lot of the repeats of value yesterday, not including Moses Brown, but Tyus Jones was a smash, played almost 40 minutes. He is going to be a value once again today. But let's get into the projections here. See what we got. Checking some chats. I see a lot here. Would not assume that Zach Collins starts. Probably a Jalen Smith start would be my guess. You have a Q tag. Oh, I hate to see it. I hope you're okay. Hope we get through the stream here. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, indeed. Appreciate Sotex being here. Of course, one of the paying members. Please be a paying member here. Support the show. Join down below. And of course, let's get into it. We got Nikola Jokic here. We got 62.6 fantasy points for him. Looks good on the slate in the semi-round before the show, which Stokastic not update all their data, unfortunately, yet. I think once the Tyus Jones value gets into the system there, they're going to have some more lineups with him. It's going to have more value overall. But Nikola Jokic, not right now, not looking like a priority. Denver today, another good spot for them. Yesterday was one of the guys I mentioned, trying to go out of your way to get. Also thought Giannis is the priority play. He ended up scoring a little bit less than Jokic, but looking better on the value metrics. Here, another game versus Detroit where Denver's got 120 implied points. Detroit 119 on their side, a healthy 239 combined total there. So those are the kind of games you want to attack. Nikola Jokic here with under 10% ownership. I don't think that'll hold, but 20% or so feels about right in the slate right now. We got Luka Doncic here for your FanDuel stuff, your Underdog stuff. I don't think he's going to play. I don't think LeBron's going to play. I really don't know, though. And to be totally honest, the DraftKings slate's big enough that I don't care very much. But these guys are on the slate. Of course, if you want to get my data, hit that join button down below. You have some different options to see the screen that you're seeing here. And, of course, get my own data for yourself for DraftKings, Underdog, FanDuel as well. But, yeah, Luka, don't think he plays would be my guess. But who knows? If he doesn't play and LeBron doesn't play, I don't know who's going to get shots up is really the main thing there. And your Rui got hurt yesterday, so, yeah, not a surprise that he'd be out. Cade Cunningham looking pretty good here. Same thing we just talked about. Denver, Detroit, pretty good matchup. Detroit also getting a team on a back-to-back. Certainly was a tough game yesterday for Denver versus Milwaukee. So Cade here, 51.3 projection for me, 51.4 for Stokastic, getting him in 21% of my top 150 lineups, and Stokastic's at 19%. So really think that right now looks like a strong play. I do wonder if this ownership redistributes a little bit more where you get, to me, more Jokic in particular. SGA, maybe not so much. So the price tag, not that far off. And I have Cade Cunningham and SGA projected pretty much exactly the same. If OKC Atlanta does get going, if Atlanta pushes OKC, the ceiling for SGA could be really high because obviously Atlanta, not a great defense, does play with some pace. OKC, a world beater kind of team who can put up massive production. If somehow Atlanta hangs in there, number one, the Hawks probably have a few outliers. But number two, there's a little more ceiling here than I think this projection for SGA will give you. But right now, getting a lot more Cade than SGA. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown is a Q tag, as we just saw in that tweet. So that's one that's going to matter a little bit more here. If Jaylen Brown is out, Jason Tatum's going to look better. Derek White's going to look better. You know the deal. Drew Holiday already out at this point. So looking a little bit better than it would normally look for Tatum at a $9,900 salary, getting him in 14% of my top 150 lineups. The field's at 4%, but not really a big Tatum stand right now. I think he looks okay. Boston's team total, I think, is right around 120 as well. Actually, a little bit lower than 120, 117.3 implied points because they do have a pretty tough matchup on paper versus Cleveland. Obviously, two really good offenses, though. So if there were a shootout in Boston and Cleveland, it wouldn't be shocking. But right now, the team total for that one, I would say somewhere in between. So I think for Tatum to really pay off this price tag, you'd feel a lot more comfortable if you had Jaylen Brown out. But as it is for me, if he's going to be 5% or less owned, I think he's worth some shots. If LeBron and Luka are out, Austin Reeves will get the shots up. Yes, he will, but he can't get up all the shots. And they really, especially if Rui are out too, they really don't have anybody else left who can competently get usage at this point. Not that it matters for the slate too much, because again, I really could not care less. No respect to the FanDuel and Underdog people out there, but like I'm focused on DraftKings for today. Like Gabe Vincent would have to get usage up. Dalton Connect's been putting up like 20% usage, so you'd have to get us some shots, but like they legit don't really have NBA players if LeBron and Luka sit out. So that's how that looks for the Lakers. If you are playing on one of those other sites out there. Jordan Goodwin is one that could get some shots up. That's a good call. Jason Tatum here. So we'll look better if Jaylen Brown's out. Looks okay as it is. Karl-Anthony Towns, Q tag on him, Q tag on Josh Hart as well. If one of those guys ends up out, the entire situation looks better for the Knicks. Towns also could be running into Mitchell Robinson returning to the lineup. He's going to return on one of these two games on the Knicks 2-game road trip, I believe is what they're on right now. If he goes today, you could maybe cut the minutes ceiling a little bit for Towns. And the Knicks do kind of need Mitchell Robinson's defense out there a little bit more. So would think that Karl-Anthony Towns, to me, an interesting play in a pretty high total game versus Memphis. But the Mitchell Robinson part of it, maybe a little more risk than I would normally have. For me, somebody does play Karl-Anthony Towns on a lot of slates. James Harden for your FanDuel DraftKings slate looks okay. Norman Powell's a Q tag right now. He would look better if Norman Powell were out. But Harden here, he's projected well for me. He's kind of disappointed the last few games for various reasons, I would say. But I think Harden's still worth your shots on FanDuel and Underdog if you're playing there. Devin Booker, I did adjust the minutes here. Stokastic has not yet. So I'm actually now getting Booker with where they had him, assuming that Beal was playing. I took the minutes, changed things around to assume Beal not in, and of course, Grayson Allen not in. So at this point, would say that Devin Booker looks like a pretty good play to me. Don't know that he is like an absolute must-have play. Do think it could be a little point chasey after he put up 60 fantasy points yesterday and was on all the winning lineups. But Booker to me looks like he's worth about a quarter of your exposure, I think, maybe upwards of 33%. There's a chance, though, that with the data updating, the field might make him one of the chalk plays of the day at 8,800. Trey Murphy for New Orleans. So you have no Zion today. You also have no CJ McCollum. You also have no Brandon Boston, who's been out for a while anyway. You add that on top of the rates overall. No Brandon Ingram, no DeJounte Murray on the team anymore. In that time period, Trey Murphy has put up 30% usage, 21% assist rate, 1.1 fantasy points a minute. Yesterday, Trey Murphy bombed after a really good first quarter and then shot terribly the rest of the game. Zion took over in that one. Point Zion, I think I've pointed out a lot. The issue is that in the court time, without all the various Pelicans I just listed, as our guy Robert from the Turd is getting ahead on here, Jose Alvarado has actually been the biggest winner, 420 minutes, sick. He's averaged 1.4 fantasy points a minute, 24% usage, 43% assist rate. That does include, I believe, one of the games before Trey Murphy had been active in the season. But at this point, because of the fact that you have so many guys missing, the minutes have to go somewhere. And really at this point, there aren't enough guys. Like I have Bruce Brown getting about 29 minutes. My expectation is that Alvarado gets you to mid 30s minutes here, and it's possibly get you to high 30s minutes. So Alvarado, I think, is going to be one of the more appealing plays on the slate. Not as cheap as a guy like Tyus Jones, who I do think, again, is your value play of the day. I'm going to feel the best about. But Trey Murphy looks good. I think Alvarado is going to look better. But right now, getting more Trey Murphy at 43%, Fields at 25%, and Alvarado. Stokastic didn't have the updates in, so as a result, Alvarado is going to be, I think, one of the chalk plays of the day. I probably have him a little bit higher than they're going to have him, but if I had to guess, they're probably going to have him in 35 to 40 fantasy point range would be my guess for what they'll give you for Alvarado. We'll hopefully see by the end of the show here when we run our last sim. Let's sort by value here. So here's your top 10 or so guys. And of course, you want all the data here. As I mentioned, hit the join button down below. You can see the various screens I show you here, all of my data. Unfortunately, not including the stochastic parts because we're not going to try to, it's a fucking team run by lawyers over there. I'm not going to do it too hard. But do make sure to go check it out here. Join button if you want my projections. The matchup screen I show you here, you get it by joining one of the tiers down below. It's the Squirt Squad tier. If you want all my projections exportable, you can also get them down below. And of course, if you want to just get unabated for a little bit more expensive, Also a great idea. And you get a 20% off the promo code SPLASH, link down below. So top values as of right now, Tyus Jones to me, have him at the 33 projection. Also have him playing 38.5 minutes. Yesterday he played, I believe, a little bit over 39. Let's pull up the Phoenix rotation quickly here. Same matchup today as well for Phoenix and New Orleans. Yes, you got Tyus Jones playing just shy of 39 minutes yesterday. That includes not the last minute or so because they brought in Royce O'Neal and Ryan Dunn for a little more defense, I guess. Might be a little bit of a high minutes projection for me, to be totally fair. At 38.5, I think you probably are going to see Stokastic put him around 35 minutes or so. But he still will then project for high 20s in the projection for me. So I think Tyus Jones, as long as he gets a start again, and I don't know why he wouldn't with Grayson Allen out again. Team's a little bit shorthanded. The other guys who would play point guard would literally be Colin Gillespie, who's a nobody, Ryan Dunn, who's not really a point guard. Tyus Jones played really well yesterday, maybe a little too well, where everybody's going to be on the scent, and I don't know that he's that guy every night, but if he's going to get you mid-30s minutes, I think he is pretty much a must-play. Jose Alvarado, we just talked about here, just again, 1.4 fantasy points a minute with the various Pelicans not in there. Historically, things can move around, I guess. You could get an outlier day for Trey Murphy, but I'll be playing them both a lot, and to me, Alvarado, not quite a value, but a very good play. Jalen Smith, the assumption is that he'll start today. Did update his rates for court time without Vucevic and Levine. He does lose a little bit with both those guys off the court in terms of how he's played, but he still averaged 1.2 fantasy points a minute. He is one of those guys like Moses Brown, who we talked about. We didn't know he was going to be a thing when we were doing the video yesterday. As soon as I saw it, I popped into the Discord. I was like, you guys should probably play some Moses Brown. I ended up helping a few people out. I think our guy, I am the KY, finished top 5 in some tournament or something. Oh yeah, wrong tab. Sorry. I'll switch back for you. Got a little princess here. You need to see the thing I'm showing you. I want you to pay for it. That's why. But no, point being, for the situation that happened with that yesterday, it's like Moses Brown, starter there, who's pretty cheap. At that point, you just kind of plug the guy in, hope for the best. Jalen Smith, if he's going to start, and he should start because he was ahead of Zach Collins in the rotation before, where Zach Collins, as my friend Josh Engelman pointed out in his strategy show on Stokastic this morning, they signed Jalen Smith. They went on a way to get him. Zach Collins was just salary kind of throw-in stuff. So like Collins, even though he played so well, we love him in fantasy, whatever, like he was a monster last time out. And he was frankly really good the game before that too, even though he didn't get 50 fantasy points like he did that game. He's just not a guy that's in the future plan. So you want to see what Jalen Smith can do theoretically here. He's coming off concussion protocol. So I would say for Jalen Smith at this point, I think that if he doesn't start, he's still an okay play. I would expect him to have a pretty good shot at closing no matter what. But if he doesn't start, he's going to be really chalky coming in because he's been a guy, the moment the data released here, he was looking really good. 62% ownership for Jalen Smith projected. I have him at 63. As long as he starts, he's all wheels up. You should be playing him a lot. If he doesn't start, then, I would try to get him out of lineups a little bit more at the very least. Really cut your exposure down. Maybe get him in 25% of lineups, something like that. Nick Richards here. I gave him a lot of minutes, gave him 29.5 minutes. He played a little bit over 30 yesterday, I believe. Seems like he's consolidating his own run of minutes in New Orleans on their side. The matchup that you've missed kind of necessitates having a big in there. The fact you're bringing in Olynyk again probably means you're going to have a little more time as well where you have big guys. So would say that for Nick Richards. I think the minutes seem safe, 4,600. I don't think Stokastic's going to give him this many minutes. He'll probably come down a little bit in terms of my projection, but right now getting him a lot here at that $4,600 salary and him in a pretty good matchup again. New Orleans is going to miss more shots today too because the team is going to be a little bit shittier from not having Zion, not having McCollum out there. Nothing better than having your masculinity question through the fourth wall. It's what I'm here for. I get spicy. I get spicy every day. There's no day in which I'm not spicy. I think that's it. I'm not white people food. That's really that's the main thing you should know about me. Nickeil Alexander-Walker looking pretty good as value because you are going to have Anthony Edwards out suspension for another couple technicals yesterday. You also have DiVincenzo questionable right now, and I don't believe his minutes from the projection set. So Alexander-Walker going to look like a value play for you FanDuel people out there, I think, to some extent. Late slate for DraftKings also look good. Terrence Shannon also has to get minutes as well. Basically just too much opportunity to go around right now. Still have Gobert out, still have Randall out for the Wolves. Now you're getting Anthony Edwards on top, maybe DiVincenzo. Basically would say that for Jaden McDaniels here, I think he looks good. Shannon looks good. Wolves overall going to look good because of the fact that you are getting a lot of opportunity overall. Yeko Kongu looking okay. Lonzo Ball looking okay as well. Does get a rate increase overall from not having Levine and Vucevic out there. Lonzo's average 18% usage, 26% assist rate, just shy of 1 fantasy point per minute, and about 340 possessions without those guys. Would still prefer if you could afford a Josh Giddey. Like, he would be the guy averaging 1.4 fantasy points a minute. He's been my guy I go to on every slate lately, with the Bulls being depleted and Giddey just looking better in every situation. That said, Lonzo at 4,600, pretty cheap. I do think the Tyus Jones availability now will drown Lonzo down a little bit in terms of ownership, but he's a good play. He's right now looking like a pretty decent value. And Dyson Daniels, technically a top value for me, as we've talked about the last few games, and he's played pretty well in these situations. He gains the most from the guys who are no longer available on the Hawks, guys like DeAndre Hunter, guys like Bogdan Bogdanovic, Jalen Johnson. Your winner overall in the rates is Dyson Daniels, with him pushing up towards 21% usage, 20% assist rate, 1.1 fantasy points per minute, while Trae Young comes down to just under 1.2 fantasy points per minute. In a given game, Trae Young can go off, obviously. Versus OKC, like, you run the risk for anybody here, they can just get blown off the court, especially with Atlanta being kind of a shitty, fast-paced team. But I think that Dyson Daniels, I don't really want 55%, but I'll be with this to some extent. I think if they keep the game close, it's probably because Dyson Daniels got some takeaways, did some good stuff against, the various high usage wings that OKC is going to throw at him. Or, they're going to throw Dyson Daniels as best they can at them, and we'll see how it goes. And guys, if you get value in this video, please do make sure to hit subscribe down below with the like button. We are so close to 1,000 subs, and I'm on a treadmill because of the YouTube algorithm. So both engagement things go a long way for me here. There's one guy every day making sure I give you good data. When the sites don't update their stuff, I make sure to do it myself and do it as intelligently as I can, because I care about making shit right here. And frankly, it's been a shitty DFS week for me. Last week, great. This week, not so good with the injuries. And that's why I did not get the right lineups together yesterday. But I'm here every day doing the work just like you guys. And if you care about the stuff, I promise you I care as much, if not more than you. And I hopefully that shows here on stream every day. I don't know. But hit the like button, subscribe. Either way, though, YouTube is fucking oppressing me. And I need to make money and get to show you some ads, some sweet things like that. Anyway, Denver, 120 implied points. Detroit, 119. We'll try to make good time here so we get to unabated in our DFS sims, and I can go pick up my child. We got Nikola Jokic, as I mentioned, would love to get more here. I think the availability of guys like Tyus Jones will make him come up a little bit more. But Nikola Jokic, to me, 8%, 6% for the field. I'm okay with that for right now. Always for me with Jokic, just getting a little bit above the field is kind of my goal, because especially on a day where he is under 10% owned. I don't know if it's sticking it to the man. It's like YouTube is my boss who doesn't want me to succeed that much. So we're doing it. Thank you. I am a trooper. That's, if nothing else. Might not be good. I'm a trooper. Yes, it does cost you $0 to subscribe. Besides the fact I'm going to make you watch a lot of fucking ads. The moment that we pass 1,000. Michael Porter Jr., getting him a little bit. 11% for the field, 11% for me. No big stands here. I do have to say I put something in my data sheet today, which I'm not sure if I'm going to subject you guys to in the data. So it's something I've talked about a lot here, where when you're not getting a lot of ownership for a game where we're talking shitty Detroit defense, mediocre Detroit defense, good Denver offense. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. Point being, really high total though. 120 implied for Denver, 119 implied for Detroit. I want to be able to give boosts to these guys because we always highlight every day, and I try to point it out specifically. Like, the projections here don't look that good, but the team total here is good, so you should probably want some guys from it. Kind of the same that happened with Phoenix yesterday. A couple days ago, it was like Memphis. Like, it happens every single slate where the projections just don't work out. But you're like, there's a lot of points in this game. I should probably have some high usage guys from it. So I'm playing with that a little bit, where I just want to give boosts in spots where I'm not getting the projection right. Point is, I didn't do it with these right now. I think these guys look okay as it is, but if you give these guys just a little bit of a boost for the fact this is a pretty high total here relative to the slate, you should get a little more Denver, I think, than the field is getting. You lose flexibility, though, on the slate, and it is a big slate, so I guess there is a trade-off to that. Detroit on their side, 119 implied points. Cade Cunningham, a fifth of the field, is there. I'm getting a little bit more. Jalen Duren, I'm lower on, but still have been pretty well projected at a 5.5x value. Asar Thompson, never a guy I get that much of. Really, either Thompson twin, but still 13% for me, 18% for the field. Malik Beasley, pretty close to the field, 3%. No big stands here, but it is a game, again, with a good total. Denver on a back-to-back as well. Had a tough game versus Milwaukee. Detroit could have an outlier day here for some guys. But, you have to keep in mind it is a long slate, and whenever you do tie up a lot of salary early on, you run the risk of being able to swap around if some tremendous value opens up later that we just wouldn't know by lock. And also worth pointing out too, there's a chance you could get guys like Aaron Gordon, Russell Westbrook out late here on the back-to-back. Hasn't been announced yet or anything, but could happen. So just keep an eye out for that. Cleveland, 116.3 implied points. Boston, 117.3. Game here where versus Boston, I got nothing from Cleveland. Getting 5% of DeAndre Hunter is pretty cheap. I did not knock his rates down for Cleveland, so that's probably why. He's been shooting a little bit less overall in terms of the usage. It's been like a high teens usage guy as opposed to the 23.5% he's carrying from his days in Atlanta as well, where he was actually shooting a good amount. For Cleveland, look, competitive game here. I would get trying to take shots. The issue for Cleveland is like you're talking about at least 4 points less than your usual total, 7 points less in a lot of spots. I'm not crazy about Cleveland going against a tough Boston defense on paper. It obviously gets a little bit weaker if Jaylen Brown is out, and maybe you then see Boston underperform again for another game. But I'm not crazy about Cleveland. The price tags are okay. If you want to go here, you can. Everybody's low owned, and sometimes that is the thing on a slate of this size. Really important competitive game here, in terms of East seeding, positioning, momentum, all that stuff. People aren't going to play it, so maybe try to play it. We got Boston here, 117.3 implied points on their side. Getting about 3x the field on Jaylen Brown, a little bit more than that on Jason Tatum as well. Think at this point, we got pretty good ownership amounts for Boston. It's going to go up a good amount if Jaylen Brown goes out. You would get more Tatum, you get more Porzingis, you get more Derek White, Peyton Pritchard as well. Like really everybody benefits. This guy's getting a slight uptick for Drew Holiday not being in, but as it is right now, I think Boston not too highly owned, and the same thing applies that I said about Cleveland. Shout out our old pal EMAC. Thank you for the kind words here, subscribing. Glad to see EMAC in town. Of course, doing great work on various Stokastic streams, usually on the weekends, but our old pal EMAC, one of my friends, and he pays me too. He's not specifically, not directly, and not for hooking. EMAC is the way I get paid from Stokastic, so he will always be in my good graces. OKC, 128.3 implied points. Real high total here for OKC. Got to point that out. 128.3 might be one of the highest totals we've seen, I think, at least on stream this year. Matchup versus Atlanta, pace up spot, getting about 4 possessions, at least 3.5. Nobody here that chalky, though. Chet Holmgren, 24% owned. He's also a Q tag right now. If he were out, you get more Hartenstein. Everybody else look a little bit better. I think these are guys here where if Atlanta stays competitive in particular, might want to consider trying to get a little more exposure to an SGA of Jalen Williams. But at this point here, would say that OKC unowned for the most part. And this game, like if Atlanta hangs in, this game could put up like 130 points on each side, like 140 points on each side. It could be kind of that Atlanta-Detroit game, except with a good team. And frankly, I never want to game stack stuff, but like if this game were to hit and be competitive in the fourth quarter, I think you get a lot of points here. So I'll just say it out loud. Atlanta on their side getting a little bit more. I'm not up on Trae Young, as I talked about. He just doesn't gain enough from the guys who aren't available for Atlanta at this point. Dyson Daniels I'm getting a lot of. I would love to get a little bit less there, but I think he's one of the ways, too, that Atlanta stays competitive, getting some steals, getting some takeaways, getting out in transition against OKC. And look, we've seen OKC play down to Brooklyn just last game. I know a lot of you guys didn't watch that one. I get it. I had a lot of players involved in it. So, and Day'Ron Sharpe in particular had like every lineup. So I watched that game a ton. OKC can play down at times, and they've done it enough times this year. So the spread here, 11 points on the road for OKC, low relative to their usuals. So maybe them playing shittily against Brooklyn wakes them up a little bit. But if Atlanta hangs in here, I think it's an important game. Okongwu as well. We've seen his archetype kind of play well against OKC. And I never talk about stuff like this, but Naz Reid has played well. Sharp a little bit different there, but does some things near the rim that I think are similar to Okongwu. I could take this shot here. 32% feels like a lot, though. But at 5,600, think he looks pretty good. Getting George Niang a little bit, Terrence Mann a little bit, not getting so much LeVert. He really hasn't shown a lot so far, besides, I think, like one good game he had in Atlanta. But again, this spot seems important. So nothing like stands out crazily to me besides Dyson Daniels and Okongwu. But like it's a really high total game. And I think there's some ways where that turns into a game where like you had to have multiple pieces, I think. Portland on their side, I got nothing here. You have Q tags, though, for Avdia. I believe Jeremy Grant as well. If Avdia is out, Shaedon Sharpe becomes unlocked and has a shot at pushing a crazy ceiling. And frankly, one of the most vicious dunks. You missed the Shaedon Sharpe dunk the other day. Just one of the better in-game dunks you'll ever see. It's fully extended. But Shaedon Sharpe, as it is right now, probably wouldn't play him. You need to get a few guys out here. Game total doesn't look that good. Team totals don't look that good. Really doesn't feel like a spot to want to go to Portland like crazy. Klingon doesn't play enough minutes either. Feels kind of like a Klingon spot. Getting him at 11%, but that's about it. Brooklyn, 109 implied points on their side. Not a lot of ownership coming here either. Nobody above 10%. I'm at about 6% on Cam Johnson with the field. 5% Killian Hayes. Played well last game. I don't really need to go there, though. Do you think Tyus Jones is going to be an infinitely better play? Really just not a good game environment. Not a high pace. Getting Cam Thomas back in is not really good for the Nets ecosystem. You can't play Day'Ron Sharpe now because his price tag's up. Nick Claxton's back in. And frankly, would love to see Day'Ron Sharpe just be able to be a starting center, but it's not going to happen. I don't think Brooklyn is a team to get much from today. New York, 119.8 implied points. Memphis, 123.8 on their side. Not a lot for me here. I'm getting less of Towns, which never happens for me. Less of Brunson, which happens often for me. Less of Josh Hart. Anunoby getting a little bit, but not very much here. Fields at 8%. I'm at 6%. Nothing to love here on New York, but this is a team. Another nice total, just shy of 120 points. Pretty big pace up as well, gaining 6 possessions and change here. So the Knicks, I think, a team to try to perhaps get to if they're your unique part of a chalky lineup. I think that'd be a good thing to do. Memphis on their side, getting the big pace down. Nice total, though, at 124 implied points for them. Aldama is the one, as you guys probably know, or maybe you don't, because I don't point it out as often as some other players. I do get Santi Aldama a good amount generally. So I'm getting him a lot here, 39% right now at 5,300. Minutes have been there for him. He contributes pretty well, 1.12 fantasy points per minute. People love Desmond Bane. Aldama's basically at the exact same rates as him the entire season. But besides that, getting with the field on Jaren Jackson, good. Getting not too far off the field from John Morant, good. Both guys around 10% owned. I think Aldama's the big piece here for me. It's because of the price tag, but with this matchup, I expect competitive game as long as Towns and Hart are in, or at least one of them. And honestly, the Knicks, I don't think get blown out no matter what. So I think it's a good Memphis spot here. And certainly if you got Towns and Hart out on the other side, the Knicks would look really appealing. It's just you run the risk that Memphis at their pace with a pretty good defense, they could smoke the Knicks at that point. Toronto, 115.3 implied points. Chicago, 117.3. So Toronto, 2-point dog here. Scotty Barnes, a Q tag with them being only a 2-point dog. I'm not sure if it feels kind of like a Barnes playing line to me. But Chicago at this point, maybe they shouldn't be favored against anybody. So that might actually mean that Barnes is out here. But either way, Barnes' status really important. I mentioned I wrote it up for DK Network. If you want to check it out, just search Scotty Barnes injury. It probably will come up as the first article in Google News because they get really sick page rank on their sites. I wonder how DraftKings does it. It's almost like they have infinite resource to do things like that. Either way, though, Toronto, Barrett looks okay. 11% for me right now. Barnes, I'm not getting much of. If Barnes is out, though, it gets opened up a lot more here. And the team total, not great as it is, but we know Chicago, soft matchup, pace up for Toronto, all that stuff. Chicago on their side, nobody coming up a ton here besides Lonzo Ball and Jalen Smith. Josh Giddey, I have loved on every slate, and yet I am not getting as much as the field of him right now. Stokastic actually has him a little bit higher projected, which I'm kind of confused by as well. The Sunmu being out here would really help me to get Giddey at 8,100. Giddey's been great lately. I am a big fan of how he's playing. I'm just surprised I'm not getting him as much today. Lonzo Ball, getting a lot of him. Third of the field's there. I'm with it. Again, that's how I feel about him. On the here, you can see, if you can't see my face in the video, I feel skeptical. I don't really know if that face fully captures the emotion that I'm trying to convey, but I do think Lonzo to me just makes me a little uncomfortable as a play. Minutes aren't always guaranteed. He has left with injuries enough times. I mean, in general in his career, but let alone this year. Third of the field's going to be there. I think he does project well, but I really would prefer to get Tyus Jones at this point, even though it does feel a little point chasey. And besides that, Jalen Smith, your chalk play of the day, 63% for me, 62% for the field. Really want to get more Giddey. Kobe White, I'm cool not getting very much of. The price tag's okay. Really would like to get more Giddey. thought I farted, struggling to maintain an erection. Okay, is that the face that one makes? I don't know that I would make that face. I think it'd be more exacerbated, like, oh, God, sure. Sanding, I guess, is what I would do to maintain an erection. Indiana, 114 implied points. Miami, 110. We got to make up some time here so we hit the unabated best bets. Not a lot here for Indiana, so we'll make up time here. Nembhard, I'm getting an 8%. That probably goes away a little bit from having the Tyus Jones value open up. That's the man who just saw Diddy bust out the baby. Brian coming out of left field with that one. Hey, I guess. I mean, depends on the context, I guess. Is it for literal babies? Then that probably would be the face. More discussed, though. More discussed. Miami, 110 implied points on their side. The thumbnail is your canvas, I guess. I just need to keep making more faces for thumbnails, I think. Seems like it sparks enough joy for everybody. Tyler Hero, 11% for the field. I'm at 13. Wiggins, 9% for the field. I'm at 14. With the field on Bam here. Really don't feel like I need the guys on this team very much. But Indiana is a team that is a little bit soft defensively, at least around league average. Technically a pace up for Miami. Not the spot to me to go to your Halliburtons. Not that it ever is, but like usually when there's a good total for Indiana, I'm like, well, I could see Halliburton being good. Miami, Indiana, I don't really see it on paper. Thanks. I could have said it to a Blue Chew ad. But the thing is, like, I want Blue Chew. Blue Chew should pay me directly. I'll pop their pills on stream if they'll give me enough money to fucking keep this enterprise going and growing. The scruples are not very high here on this channel. Besides my data prep, that's really the worth one thing. But erection pills, sure. New Orleans, 110.5 implied points here. Trey Murphy, a big stand again. He was awful for me yesterday. In fact, he and Naz Reid single-handedly killed my night with so much Moses Brown. That said, Trey Murphy, I think you have to go back to today. You have no Zion here. The big issue for Trey Murphy yesterday is his shots just didn't get falling really from the second quarter on, but in particular the second half. Zion also playing so much point guard did hurt him a little bit. The issue is like Alvarado, based on the rate data, he's going to take a lot away in terms of the assist upside from Trey Murphy. So I think Trey's good. I don't think Trey should be as highly owned for me as he is, but I'll have a lot of Trey Murphy. Alvarado, if you're tuning in just now, talked about him earlier in the video, but he's averaged 1.4 fantasy points a minute without the DeJounte Murray, without Zion Williamson, without Brandon Ingram, basically the cast of characters no longer available for New Orleans tonight. McCollum as well. Basically for Alvarado, I think that he is a play that's going to look good because of the minutes he gets now with McCollum being out, but he really is a player where the rates for him are so high that I'm not sure how he wouldn't be a pretty good play at the field's going to have at least 25%. So Stokastic did an update before the show. That's why this number's low. Hopefully we'll have an updated read on Alvarado when we run the sim in a moment. But Alvarado to me, 26%, field's at 2 right now, but it'll probably be more like I get 33, field gets 25 or something soon. Shout out Spurious News joining this channel as well. One of my guys on the NFL Splash Play version. And of course, you want to see the screen here that I'm showing you updated throughout the night for all the guys getting ruled in, getting ruled out. I update my projections as I'm doing my own lineups when starters change and all of that. Guys get ruled out. You want to see this for yourself, join the Squirt Squad tier down below. That gets you our VIP Discord, and it also gets you the sheet, which I update painstakingly. I should have Discord on this PC so I can show you guys. I'm just fucking posting Discord chats to myself all night going, updated for this, updated for this. But yes, my projections do update a lot. Okay, good to know. So Stokastic updated as well. We'll get their data in a moment. Anyway, New Orleans, very important team today. Too many guys out. Phoenix, not a good team on the other side either in terms of their defense. That matters for New Orleans. Phoenix as well, 119.5 implied points here. At this point for Phoenix, they look really good for not having Bradley Beal in. Bol going to be chalky again. He's fine, but the biggest winners overall should be Durant and Booker, along with Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones, again, was not in the Stokastic data in a meaningful way. I imagine I would get him in pretty much, well, I wouldn't say every lineup in a sim, but I'd probably be getting him about 60% if they had, this correctly updated before the show. Tyus Jones is your value play of the day at 3,800. He played just shy of 40 minutes yesterday. I probably gave him too many minutes for a median projection here. It's going to be more like 33 to 35 is what Stokastic will give him, I would guess. Chat can correct me if they know already. But basically, these guys played a really shortened rotation yesterday. It's the same matchup here again today. And you're also now down Grayson Allen on top. So I think Phoenix should have a pretty constricted rotation. And maybe you get one shot of Micic getting in, but yesterday they played Ryan Dunn. They played Ty Washington a little bit, and they played Colin Gillespie. So I think those are the guys who get a few more minutes today because of not having Grayson Allen in. And then this is all FanDuel Underdog stuff, so I'll show you guys fast. Minnesota, again, you have DiVincenzo, Q tags. That's going to move things a little bit, but Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels should look good for not having Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and Randall in. That's that. Utah's got no Lowry Markkanen. I think Filipowski gets more minutes, along with C. Mikhailuk. You could see a Juzang start perhaps as well. But Utah, probably not guys I think you'd want to play on FanDuel or Underdog too much. Harden in play, looking okay. Would look better if Powell's out. He's a Q tag. And Lakers also have Q tags for LeBron, for Luka. Rui probably not, or I think confirmed to not play today. So Lakers, if you get them shorthanded, you probably have to play Austin Reeves for sure. And Connect will look better. Goodwin will get closer to playable, though he hasn't shown much rate-wise this year. Gabe Vincent would be playable. This is actually probably a really important game here. Minnesota and LA are your two really important games if you're playing FanDuel tonight or if you're playing one of the Underdog tournaments. But that's all the game-by-game stuff. Let's go to Unabated now. Of course, you guys have to learn about the world of traditional NBA projections from our presenting sponsor here, Unabated. You can also get 20% off of all their data and tools if you click the link in the description. Go over Unabated. But let's get some good bets. Let's check out their little video coming up right now. Now that's the kind of video you take home to mama and you, I don't know, give it some pasta. Spaghetti Fazul. DeJounte Murray out. Zion Williamson out. Again, 15 different sets of traditional NBA projections on Unabated. It is a silly amount of additional projections today. That's what they have for you to give you an edge on betting and to show you when players are in and players are out, what you're going to get. Of course, you know what's coming up here. We got some graphs. You can simulate things out, see distributions based upon the bets you want to take. It's very easy to get better at betting, but if you also want to dig in deeper with Unabated, do that as well. Game day live streams. Of course, Justin Fan leading the team over there, doing a great job. Chats, counting money. You know the deal. Get ready. And here would be your results now. Another recent update here on 224. You'd be up, looks like about $42,000 if you placed every unabated bet 30 minutes before tip-off with a 5% or higher edge. If you add on top the first release of projections, it'd be another 37 or so, I think $35,000 to $37,000 on top of that. And that's $100 units. So like, look, not everybody's going to be placing $100 unit bets. I get it. For you guys out there, if you want to make money in betting, there's a lot of great tools out there. Really not a lot. There's like 3 great tools out there. But Unabated is one of the best ones you're going to find. And it is used by people. They're spending a lot of money on this shit, and they're doing it to try to get returns like that. You could be doing it for yourself. So please do check it out. Link down below, 20% off. Let's pull in these projections. And of course, here's all your Q-Tag guys. We're down to 14 sets now. But Bam, Denny, Bane, Jaylen Brown, DiVincenzo, Gordon, Jeremy Grant, Hart, Holmgren, Porzingis, Powell, Towns, Wiggins. They have data for all of those guys being in or out. We're just going to focus on the guys, though, who have no Q tags on their team. We'll see what we get. Even if it's $10 units, great return. I would agree. I really would agree. Thank you, Jake. We'll see it all in a moment in the sim. Nuke of the year. Unabated's a nuke of the year. Really is like, it is funny though in betting where it's like, I feel like I'm selling you guys a product where it's like the best math, like all the stuff you're looking for, where there's a lot of people who like spend a lot of money, who use it and whatever, and seemingly get the results they're looking for. And it's like on Twitter, people just go like, you want a sick parlay, bro? It's like, that works so much better. It's fucking drives me insane. All right, so we got Trae Young here, 12% EV for Trae Young, your best points bet today. Looking good on the Pick'em sites, 12% EV on PrizePicks, and Underdog for Trae Young on higher, 23.5 points. Actually, Grand Slam here, DK Sportsbook, FanDuel. It's a good bet on all of them. So Trae Young over 23.5 points. Bet that one anywhere you can get it. And no, it's over 24.5. Also good on DraftKings at plus money odds. Tyrese Halliburton. We got Tyrese Halliburton under 19 points. Looking good on PrizePicks, no longer available on Underdog. Also good on DraftKings and FanDuel. So pretty good EVs here, at least 10.6% on PrizePicks. For Tyrese Halliburton, under 19 points today. Onyeka Okongwu, a guy I like in DFS, as I mentioned, over 13.5 today. Looking good on Underdog, looking the best on Underdog. Still playable on PrizePicks, DraftKings, and FanDuel as well for over 14, over 14.5. But Okongwu, over on his points, looking good everywhere right now. Pascal Siakam under 21 points, looking best on PrizePicks, 10% EV, and you probably don't want anywhere else. Actually, no, looks like it just updated on FanDuel. Playable on FanDuel as well, where it's under 20.5 at minus 113, gets you 5.8% EV. But Siakam looks best on PrizePicks, 10% EV for under 21 points. Isaiah Stewart over 4.5 points, 8.7% EV on your Pick'em sites, both Underdog and PrizePicks. Still bettable on DraftKings and FanDuel as well, where it's over 4.5 at minus 125 and minus 128. But Isaiah Stewart overs on points, looking good everywhere. Obi Toppin under 10.5 points, good on your Pick'em sites and only good on FanDuel out of the main sports books. But Obi Toppin under 10.5 points, looking good wherever you can get it. And we got DeAndre Hunter under 12 points, looking best on Underdog, where it's 8.1% EV. And you probably don't want it on PrizePicks, DraftKings, or FanDuel. So Hunter on Underdog, the lower for 12.5 points for him. Rebounds coming up next. Grand Theft Alvarado, there we go. Jalen Smith ownership way down. Interesting. Maybe people questioning the... I mean, it might be because they don't know that Jalen Smith's the starter, and I think it's a little bit of an assumption that he would be. But I don't know. We'll see when I get there in a moment, I guess. All right. Let's reorder this. I think we're good. All right, Obi Toppin, the rebounds under for him, under 4.5 rebounds for Obi Toppin. 25.4% EV on DraftKings is your best bet at plus 100 odds. Still good on PrizePicks, under 4.5 on there for Obi Toppin, and FanDuel under 4.5, minus 128 odds. So pretty good EVs, actually, really some of the best EVs we'll probably see today for Obi Toppin under 4.5 rebounds. George Niang under 4.5 rebounds, also looking best on Underdog, where it's lower on 4.5 rebounds, getting you 14.5% EV. Probably don't want anywhere else, though. So Niang only on Underdog, lower on 4.5 rebounds. Andrew Nemhard under 3.5 rebounds, looking best on PrizePicks. We're getting 14.5% EV. Still bettable on DraftKings, under 3.5 rebounds on there, getting you 7.9% EV. Tim Hardaway Jr., 14% EV for him, over 1.5 rebounds on PrizePicks. Looks best. DraftKings over 1.5 rebounds, minus 130 there. He's playing 28 minutes. You can fall ass backwards into 2 rebounds pretty easily. Jordan Hawkins, probably a big minutes winner from the lack of Pelicans bodies today. Over 2.5 rebounds for Hawkins, looking good in the pick'em sites today, and not available on your sportsbooks at a good rate. So Hawkins over 2.5 on Underdog and PrizePicks. Sar Thompson under 5.5 rebounds, minus 130 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook gets you 12.1% EV, and good on DraftKings as well. Not on your pick'em site, so only on DraftKings and FanDuel. Asar Thompson under 5.5 rebounds, looking good. And Evan Mobley over 9 rebounds, looking good on PrizePicks, but not on Underdog. Still bettable on DraftKings and FanDuel for Evan Mobley over 9 rebounds, and over 9.5 on DraftKings, and over 9.5 on FanDuel. All right. Assists. I feel like I've earned a sip of Diet Coke here. I'm allowing myself to have this delicious treat for me. I am team never Coke Zero. Give me all your chemicals. Make me a delicious, not overpowering, bubbly beverage, and I'm good to go. But really, I do hate Coke Zero. One thing you should know about me from day one. Obi Toppin, under 1.5 assists here for Underdog, looking good. The lower, it's a 17.6% EV. Obi Toppin's assist line gone everywhere else. So Obi Toppin unders looking like some of the best bets today everywhere. We got thank you, Jake. I sip as good as anybody. That's what people have said about me. Karis LeVert under 2.5 assists, looking good on DraftKings, but not anywhere else. 16.3% EV for LeVert under 2.5 assists. John Collins under 1.5 assists, seemingly back in the rotation today. 16.2% EV for Collins under 1.5 assists at minus 166 odds. My God, how many sixes do we need for a guy with a lisp? We got Max Strus over 2.5 assists, 13.3% EV on DraftKings, minus 130 odds on there. Also good on FanDuel, over 2.5 assists at minus 142 odds. Devin Booker, an under on Booker. That's a little bit scary to take on a day with no Beal and Grayson Allen out. Under 7.5 assists, minus 106 odds on FanDuel, gets you 10.9% EV, and still bettable on PrizePicks, Underdog, and DraftKings, where Booker's under 7.5 assists on all those, just at less good odds. We got Tyus Jones over 7.5 assists, 10.9% EV. They have him getting 33 minutes for what it's worth as well. He is definitely your best value chalk today on DraftKings, it looks like. 5.5% EV for Tyus Jones on PrizePicks, but he looks best on DraftKings and FanDuel, over 7.5 assists. And last but not least, Alvarado, 10.2% EV for old Grand Theft Alvarado, over 6.5 assists. Like I mentioned, the rates for him are kind of nuts. 40% assist rate with the various Pelicans, not available today. Still bettable on PrizePicks, but it does look best on FanDuel and bettable on DraftKings as well. For Alvarado, over 6.5 assists. PRAs, last but not least here. You see, is the best. Amen, brother. Sipping on a glass of my GF sweat after she got done with. Oh. I'm not a bodily fluid guy. That's what I can tell you. Not that anybody else is normally drinking things. The Museum of Sex, though, one thing I will tell you, which is a place in New York, if you're not familiar, went there once with a female friend, an actual like friend, and they had a thing there called a juicer, where like a woman would sit on that and you'd extract. No, thank you. And people, I guess, at some point would extract that and drink it. Okay. I'll stick with Diet Coke, I think, if we're going to bring that back here. Jordan Hawkins, now I've enlightened your day, so please hit the like button if you enjoy fun facts like that, mix in with your basketball content. Jordan Hawkins, over 15.5 PRAs, looking best here, 34.8% EV on PrizePicks, not available anywhere else. There we go. That's what we're looking for. That's why I do this. That's what I Dude. Obi Toppin, there we go. Obi Toppin under 18.5 PRA. So you've learned something, and that's the goal here of the stream. Hopefully something basketball related, sometimes life related. That's what we do. Obi Toppin, 33% EV for Underdog, looking good for the lower on 18.5 PRAs in Obi Toppin, and PrizePicks as well, 20.2% EV on there. So you're getting a pretty good unders on Obi Toppin in every possible category you can take it. We got Trae Young here, 15.3% EV at plus 102 odds for his PRAs over 37.5 on FanDuel. Bettable on actually all the other sites as well. Grand Slam here for Trae Young. Bet his over on PRAs anywhere you can get it amongst the main books and pick'em sites. Pascal Siakam under 31.5 PRAs, looking good in the pick'em sites with 13.1% EV. And frankly, also looking pretty good on DraftKings and FanDuel for under 30.5 PRAs. So Siakam, unders for him, also looking very good. A lot of unders for the Pacers. Mo Gay, under 10 PRAs, 10.3% EV on PrizePicks. Your best bet. You're not getting Mo Gay anywhere else, though, unless it's on your private time. Tyrese Halliburton, under 31.5 PRAs. 9.3% EV on DraftKings. Bettable on FanDuel as well. Bettable on PrizePicks and Underdog. So Halliburton under on PRAs today, looking good after he went nuts last game in a soft spot. And Darius Garland, our last PRAs bet here, of course, a lot more unabated. Check it out, 20% off, link down below. Darius Garland under 29.5 PRAs, 8.1% EV on DraftKings, and still bettable on FanDuel as well. I think we got a lot of bets for a day with this many Q tags. Obviously, there's a lot of games, but Garland as well, good on FanDuel, under 29.5 PRAs for him. And now the last stage of our journey here, I guess technically second to last because I have to go with the splash plays. Last stage of our journey, though, for the tools and such, we're going to run a sim now on Stokastic. So let's go over there. Let's build some lineups here. Let's see what we get. And you know what time it is here. It's time to do some pandering. Unabated, 20% off, link description. Go check it out. As you saw, you could literally be up $40,000 if you placed every bet 30 minutes before tip-off. It is sometimes that simple to get good at betting. So check out Unabated, link down below. And of course, Stokastic, you're going to see now, Stokastic has been absolutely murdering this week, at least people with their avatars, with the wins in various tournaments, huge outlier days, including somebody putting up 425 points to the Stokastic avatar the other day and winning one of the big tournaments. Really, I can't do more better advertising for them than they already do with the success of their own customers, but please do check it out. If you want to get better at betting, you want to, or really better at DFS more so, but they have great betting tools as well. Use the stuff, use their data, use their whatever. Take my projections if you want to get unique, put it in the sim, do some weird stuff with it. There's a lot of ways to get value to Stokastic, but the Sims tool is great. Their projections great. Check it out for yourself. Link down below. And they have 15% off with promo code SPLASH there. So their deal, the dollar deal, that's gone now. So if you want to save money, I think that's the only promo they have going is people like me as an affiliate. So please do check it out. It's 15% off in perpetuity too. So it is a really good deal. All right. Let's run this sim here. My usual 35% to first. And just out of curiosity, look at the Jalen Smith numbers. So Jalen Smith, they knocked down his minutes by a lot, I guess. Only an 18-point projection now. And that gives him 30% ownership. So they must have given Zach Collins more minutes then, right? So they have Zach Collins as the starter and getting him 19% ownership. That's an important one to watch out for. Jalen Smith, I would think should start, but he's coming off concussion protocol, so you don't really know. Let's run the sim here. Again, my data not involved in this part of things, just what Stokastic has for you. So you'll see one of the top sites out there have. And again, if you guys get value out of this video, please subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. There's one guy here just doing the best I can to fight the YouTube algorithm and a lot of competition. But frankly, I'm very proud of the work I do here and the results some of you guys get, results I get for myself most nights that aren't this week. So please do hit the like button, subscribe here. New streams Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. And we are so close to 1,000 subs, and I just want to get there so I could feel like this channel is now a real boy. So please do that. And check out Underdog too for one more day. $1,000 in bonus cash with Underdog. Let's see what we get in this old sim, though. Why is that Collins over Jalen Smith? I think they just moved the minutes and are playing the assumption that Collins will start. There's no guarantee, but Collins did play pretty well. I still would agree with my pal Josh Engelman, what he said this morning, where I would think Jalen Smith starts as long as he can start because, like, that's a guy who's young and they want to see what he can do. Collins is kind of a salary throw-in vet who you don't really see as part of the future of your plans or in your future plans, but it could go either way. So that's one you're watching out for. But clearly they flipped it though. Let's see. Anything else in chat? Zach Collins, Jalen Smith discussion is going to be a thing. Again, it just comes down to who's the starter. That game tonight starts at what time? It's an 8 o'clock game. So there are going to be 4 games that lock before it. You really got to hope you get that news in the 6 o'clock hour towards the end would be my hope. You get starters. If not, it's going to be tough. Stokastic's top ROI lineups, though, right now, of course, you're going to need a lot more than these to really do well in DFS, but I'll give you a taste here of what they're seeing and try to identify some trends for yourself, see what they're going to do. We got Cade Cunningham, Andrew Nembhard, RJ Barrett, Chet Holmgren, Onyeka Kongu, Jose Alvarado, Kelly Olynyk, and Tyus Jones. So they're with me on Team Alvarado, it looks like. Number 2, Jose Alvarado, Aaron Nesmith, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren again, Nikola Jokic, Tyus Jones, Bruce Brown, and Nick Richards. SGA, Lonzo Ball, RJ Barrett, your number 3 ROI lineup. Al Horford, Onyeka Okongwu, who, as we talked about earlier, I do like. Tyus Jones, Chet Holmgren, Zach Collins. At number 4, Cade Cunningham, Lonzo Ball, Asar Thompson. A lot of Chet Holmgren again. Yves Missy, Trae Young, Kelly Olynyk, and Tyus Jones. And number 5, Lonzo Ball, Andrew Nembhard, Kobe White, Chet Holmgren. Nikola Jokic makes this one. Tyus Jones, Kelly Olynyk, Nicholas Claxton. So Tyus Jones making it a lot here. 5 of the top 5 lineups. Let's say Lonzo making it a good amount here. Holmgren making it more than I would have thought. Nothing that crazy here. Would I play both Collins and Smith? No, I wouldn't. I would try to only play one. Only one of them's going to close. That's it. Yes, if you watch every day, you have to subscribe. I appreciate that. But yes, it's legally required, in fact. Your top ROI players in Stokastic's top 150 lineups here. Chet Holmgren's number 1. Your only positive ROI, and it's the 150 set. But again, we're looking mostly at directional accuracy here. Who's got the highest ROIs? But Holmgren is number 1 at 2.5%. Onyeka Okongwu, negative 3% ROIs at number 2. Zach Collins at number 3. Again, getting the starter minutes from Stokastic right now. No guarantee that he's starting. And in fact, I would not play him if he's coming off the bench at 5,500 at all, just for the record, in case somebody needs to hear that out loud. Royce O'Neal, negative 5.5% ROI for him. He's at number 4 here. Bruce Brown at number 5. He's not done a whole lot usage-wise, assist-wise on the Pelicans at all, but he does have the ability to do that. We saw him in Toronto kind of pushing that a little bit more, playing more like the G League / Detroit Pistons in previous years when Bruce Brown, nobody else is left. The guy would start to put up real numbers. Actually put up 70 fantasy points in a game once over the Pistons in tanking season. Bruce Brown can do stuff. So I think in a game where like there aren't a lot of distributors, creators, guys who are just going to get shots up, Bruce Brown might get that. Am I leading that Chet plays? I would think so, but it's 50-50. It's hard to really say more than that, but I would think he does. I don't know why he'd be out. Nikola Jokic here is your number 6 ROI guy for Stokastic, so paying up to get to him on a day where it seems like he's not going to have a ton of ownership. And Asar Thompson at number 7 is these are Stokastic's top ROI guys. Holmgren, Okongwu, Zach Collins, Royce O'Neal, getting some extra minutes for Phoenix theoretically. Bruce Brown, Nikola Jokic, and Asar Thompson. For O'Neal, I have to point out, he really didn't get a lot of minutes yesterday, and we're in the same situation basically we were yesterday. Like, Grayson Allen was basically out of the rotation anyway, so if you get a lot of O'Neal, just be careful. The Phoenix rotation is not, like, he can get there, but I think he played less than 20 minutes yesterday, if I'm remembering correctly. I should check that real fast because I don't want to be wrong. O'Neal played 11 minutes yesterday. Like, he legit barely played. So I would say something to watch out for. Shout out Anime Speedrun. I appreciate you joining as well. Make sure you sync your YouTube to your Discord so you get in there. And of course, if you are paying for my data, you'll get added automatically to the channels on there. I don't know which level you join, but again, if you want to see the data I show you guys on screen every day, you can join down below Squirt Squad tier. If you want my projections to be able to export, Squirt Squad VIP tier, and you can get that stuff down below. But your last look here with Stokastic data, you're getting 91% Tyus Jones in lineups, 3,800. The guy played high 30s minutes yesterday. Stokastic projected him for low 30s today. Still enough to get there. So Tyus Jones is your easy sim value today. And the guy as well, if you're going to play him in 0, play him in 100, you should play him in 100. Chet Holmgren, 71% exposure. That is a lot of Chet Holmgren. I don't get that. I got to be real with you. I don't get the Chet Holmgren thing at all. A lot of Chet Holmgren. So 71% exposure for Chet Holmgren, Fields at 20. Jalen Smith, despite the ownership coming down here to 30%, they still want to get 42, and that's assuming that Smith comes off the bench. So imagine if Smith does start, you're going to want him pretty much, and again, more lineups than not would be my guess. Zach Collins still getting 40% of him, so basically Stokastic playing it both ways. They're getting 2x the field on Collins and about 13% more than the field on Jalen Smith. So Stokastic willing to play both centers. I still would not play them together in a lineup because it's not even like their power forward center. You're giving up 2 center spots. That seems like that'd be bad for business. Onyeka Okongwu, 37% exposure for him in the top 150. Fields at 18. So I like Okongwu. Stokastic is giving you 2x the field on him. So I feel good about that. They're with the field on Bulls, 30% ownership, which feels fine to me. Bull, not as chalky as he was yesterday, but still looking pretty chalky. And Jose Alvarado, 29% compared to the field's 22. I am higher on Alvarado, but I'm glad they're above the field on him. Most positively leveraged plays for Stokastic. Chet Holmgren is it, 50%, more than the field of Chet Holmgren. I say it enough times here, Stokastic sometimes in these sims shows you something that you just don't see yourself. I feel that way about Holmgren. I absolutely can go off, but I wouldn't make this play myself. But they think he's the most important play on the slate. So probably should play some Chet Holmgren would be my thought when you see that. Rotogrinders is Collins starting. Yeah, I mean that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. They're just guessing, and frankly, they're guessing less well than any other site out there. No respect, they are also one of the sites I don't work with at all. But no, don't listen to Rotogrinders. I really encourage for most things. No respect to those guys. Please. I think they're down the pecking order a lot these days. They fired everybody. They don't have a lot of good people left. Onyeka Okongwu, 18% leverage for him. So you're getting 2x the field on him with Stokastic's data in their top 150 lineups. Tyus Jones, 13% leverage on him. Again, he's in pretty much every lineup for the field. 78% projected owned, 91% in Stokastic's top 150. So they're coming over the top for guys going to be the chalkiest player on the slate, it looks like. Jalen Smith, 12% leverage on him. Lonzo Ball, 10% leverage on him. Cade Cunningham, 8% leverage for him. So those are your top leverage guys for Stokastic's top 150 lineups. And your most negative leverage guys are players they don't want you to get as much of. Trey Murphy. Oh, that hurts. Trey Murphy, negative 22% leverage. He looks very chalky with 42% expected ownership, and they think he's not a great play. They'd rather you play Chet Holmgren, I suppose. Jordan Hawkins, negative 19% leverage on him. Another guy's getting minutes for sure with McCollum being out, and Boston as well, for what that matters. And Zion probably helps a little bit too. But yeah, for Hawkins, I think he's not a bad play as a value at 4K, but Stokastic does not like him. Nick Richards, he got crazy minutes yesterday. Stokastic low on him by 11%. So I am down to that. Kevin Durant, negative 9%. They're low on him. Surprised by some of these, to be really genuine about it. Donovan Mitchell, negative 7%. That's fine. Tough game versus Boston for sure, but should be a competitive one. Denny Avdia, negative 6%. It's not a Denny Avdia day. You really kind of want him to be out so he can take shots on Shaedon Sharp. And Carlo Makovich, not a lot of ownership going his way at 5%. He could pick up the start here, I guess, but it's probably Olynyk and Missy starting, most likely. Olynyk's minutes capped, it seemed, under 25. So Makovich is going to get some minutes, but not as good of a spot as it was yesterday with Olynyk out. And that's the Stokastic side of things. So I'm going to give you guys my splash plays for the day. But you guys know the deal. Before I do that, one last run through. Please subscribe down below. Please hit the like button. It does go a long way here as I fight YouTube. I really do appreciate it. It's the most live viewers we've had in a while. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you being here. And of course, I'm here Monday to Friday every day doing the same process, same level of work, trying the best I can to make you guys prepared for a slate before the chaos ensues. Underdog, $1,000 bonus cash, link in the description. Unabated 20% off. Please do check them out. You want to get money in betting. You saw the graph before. Really can't be more clear about how much better you'll do in betting if you just follow them and turn your brain off and just do it. Stokastic as well, 15% off. You want a deal on there? They don't have any on their site right now. That's the best deal you're going to get, and it's in perpetuity as well. 15% off all the payments you have. It does support the show directly. Half the money that would go to Stokastic instead goes to me, and that's really cool because that way I can keep doing this shit. Splash plays for the day, though. Jose Alvarado has to be one. I think that's not a surprise. Tyus Jones has to be another as a value. Whoever starts out of Jalen Smith and Zach Collins, I think would be it. I know it's a little bit of a cop-out, but I don't want to be inaccurate here. Smith off the bench could still close, so I don't think I would rule him out entirely if he were not starting, but would probably play Collins, try to get some amount of Collins. And alliance without Collins, I'd probably give a boost to Jalen Smith is what I would do. How you want to handle that yourself, follow your heart. And besides these guys, Trey Murphy, I think I will die on the hill of once more. Just too much usage to go around for those guys. I'm going to get Booker a good amount, probably less Durant. I think that's it. I think that's probably enough splash plays, right? I think we're good. So that's the day, guys. Make sure no matter what you're doing, please do gamble responsibly. Most important thing for DFS, for betting, for all of it, just be smart about your bankroll. Approach things with good thought and don't get in over your shoes. It's not an expression. It's always money time here. If you could tell, if you expected good expressions, the guy who has this as one of his logos is his bat signal. I don't know what you're hoping for. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at SplashPlayNBA. And look, I'll be back on Monday with more. Oh, join the Discord as well if you want to get some more stuff here. I do drop updates in there. If you have questions, hit me up. If you are a paying member here, it's linked down below. So check it out and enjoy your weekend, guys. Pleasure hanging out with you today. Good luck. See you guys again soon. Bye.